Okay, let me first welcome everybody to the session today, Navigating the Academy of Management Conference for first-time attendees. On behalf of all the organizers for this session, we're all very glad that you're here and taking this opportunity to learn some insights going into your first Academy meeting. Welcome everybody. I hope you have a great conference coming up, and I hope this session today can be helpful, towards that end. My name is Kyle Earhart. I'm one of the organizers for this session, one of 5 organizers, actually. I am from the University of Colorado at Denver. I'm an associate professor there. And what you see on the screen before you is just a little bit of an agenda for today's meeting. We're going to begin by having some introductions by 2 individuals. The first being Becky Bennett, who is the current Organizational Behavior Division Chair, followed by Mikey Deal, who is the current chair of the Organizational Behaviors Global Committee, which is the committee that is helping to organize this session today. And we'll have a little bit more insight for you later in the session about certain functions that the Global Committee in particular hosts at the Academy of Management meeting, if they might be interested for you. So first, I'll give a chance for Dr. Becky Bennett to introduce herself.
Okay, welcome everybody. It's great to be here today. It's early morning on the East Coast, but I'm happy to participate in this session, and looking over what's going to be presented today, I think you'll benefit a great deal. I know it's also being recorded, so you'll have it to look back at too. I'm in the 4th year of the 5-year track in the different divisions and interest groups. There's a 5-year leadership track where you start out with the program chair role, 2 years of that, and then you move up to the division chair role. So that's my position for the OB division. Is that enough, Kyle?
That's fine.
Okay.
Mikey?
Hopefully you can hear me. I just had some internet problems. I was kicked out, so let's hope that this works now. And sorry, I missed now what Becky was saying, but I just do what I had intended to do. And hope that the connection works. So a very warm welcome to the club of Academy of Management attendees also from my side. And thank you very much for this opportunity to interact with you in this occasion. As Kyle already said, this workshop is organized by a group of active members of the Global Committee, which is one of the 4 committees of the OB division. And I've had the honor of chairing this committee for the past 2 years. And the purpose of this committee is really specifically to welcome and support international members of the OB division, and to ensure that on one hand, our offerings and services reflect the increasingly international membership, and on the other hand, then develop also opportunities for international members to actively participate and create content to other members. And as far as I could see from the name list, I guess most of us are actually international global members. I would like to briefly share 2 anecdotes from my own very first Academy of Management experiences from the 2 very first conferences that I attended as a doctoral student. And these anecdotes are really from the perspective of an international attendee. And the first conference that I joined took me actually for the first time also outside Europe ever. So it was a very exciting experience. And I must say that it was very decisive for my career planning. It confirmed that I really want to stay in the academia, and this is what I want to do. When in this conference, I really thought that this is the life I want to live. I can do what I'm interested in. I can pretty freely dive into topics that I'm really intrinsically motivated to look into. And then I just traveled to cool places and hang around with inspiring people and discuss research. So this is not a bad life. This is the type of life that I want to live. And in retrospective, the conference experience actually itself, it wasn't so wonderful, and it was a little stressful, and I was super nervous about my presentation, which in the end took place at the front of about 5 people, so a handful of people only, and there was not very much discussion, I must also confess. So as such, the conference experience was maybe so medium, but the location of the conference was the decisive factor, I think, for my career planning. The conference namely took place in Hawaii. So sipping cocktails and talking about research on Waikiki Beach, well, it was easy to make a career decision at that point in time. And here I am, nearly 20 years later, still happily going, absolutely no regrets, even if conferences and the academic life clearly is not only about enjoying cocktails on beach and doing research on interesting topics. The next year, the location was maybe somewhat less attractive than Hawaii. We namely met back then in Atlanta. And those who have been to Atlanta, there are really interconnected massive hotels. And I was completely overwhelmed by this experience as a somewhat introverted and shy doctoral student. And I remember very vividly how I came from the airport and I walked with my little trolley to the hotel through such a revolving door to see this totally crowded and super loud lobby. And I looked at it in horror. I still have this feeling very vividly in my mind. And you know what I did? I did not enter the lobby. I just continued on this revolving door and went out. And I was at the front of the hotel, like calming myself down and doing some deep breaths, taking some deep breaths outside the hotel. And then I was ready to walk in and face all the hurdles of big academic conferences and academic networking and all what it takes to be there. So what I want to say with this experience, that irrespective of where you're coming, but especially if you are coming from a smaller city and university, it is quite something to be in a conference with some 10,000 people. It's quite an experience, and abroad perhaps for some first time maybe in the US. So the experience is very exciting, it's inspiring, but it can also be stressful and overwhelming. And somewhat counterintuitively, one can really feel also very lonely there in this crowd of 10,000 people. So if you happen to feel like that in August, don't worry. Most of us have had those feelings in our first conferences. But to avoid that or to manage those better, I think it's very important to prepare well. Good preparation is everything. And my favorite saying is actually, fortune favors the prepared mind. And I think this is why we are here. So this is to prepare for the conference. So I think let's just move into the actual content of the workshop and start preparing.
All right, thank you very much, Becky and Mikey, for the introductions. Very briefly, I'd like all the different panelists here today to introduce themselves quickly first. If we could begin at the top left of the screen, so beginning with Gloria, followed by Farzana, and then around for everybody that's here, and then we'll get into the material.
Thank you very much, Kyle. I'm Gloria. I'm from Justus Liebig University Gießen in Germany. I'm a PhD student and about to attend my second AOM this year. So just got my first AOM on my schedule last year, and I'm happy to share some experiences today. Right.
Hello, everyone. I'm Farzana Ashraf. I'm a doctoral student in Macquarie University, Sydney, Australia. I have been a member of AOM since last year. I'm a member of 3 divisions, careers, OB and diversity and equity. So I'll also share my experience with you. Thank you.
Hi guys, welcome you all. My name is Juliana Carvalho, and I'm also a PhD student. I'm from Brazil, from Fundação Getúlio Vargas. As Farzana, I'm also a member of OB, Diversity and Careers Division, and this is my second year in the AOM, and I'm eager to share my experiences with you.
And hi, everyone. My name is Mina, and I'm an associate professor at Copenhagen Business School. And I've been at the Academy for a member for about 12 or 13 years, and a member of apart from the OB division, also the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion division, and the International Management division. And welcome, everyone. And I think, yeah.
By all means, we can then begin with Gloria, Farzana, and Joanna.
So I think I start. So as Mikey said, I think that my experience at Farzana's and Gloria last year was really overwhelming. So you get to a conference and you don't know what to do, and there is a lot of things to do, but you don't know where to start. And when you come from outside, from a university where you're not going with a big group, it can be very difficult and can be really overwhelming. And for me, it was also worse because I had a flight canceled, they lost my luggage. So when I arrived at the event, I was very stressed. And I thought, okay, I went to a big building and what do I do now? But one thing that I got to do is that I did a little preparation. So one thing that's really important, I don't know how many of you are already members of the Academy, but the divisions and the interest groups are something that is really important for your career, for your everyday life, and especially for the conference. So I didn't know what to do. So when I signed in for the AOM, I started to see the discussions on the boards. So I saw a lot of opportunities. I saw that for PTWs, and Farzana is going to talk about it later, you had to register like 4 or 5 months in advance. And that, to be true, was one of the best parts of my experience. So yeah, I signed in for everything I could. I also got opportunity to get funding, to register for everything I could. So I think that the main idea here is that your interest groups is your identity, is your community. And it's okay, I think Mina told me that you change communities and you understand where you fit the most. And I think that here in the OB division, the international committee, the global committee is something that I really feel like I fit. And that helps me a lot. So it's important to be following that, and even for your career, because a lot of opportunities are there, and a lot of opportunities even for research, for knowing people. So I don't know if you all know, when you sign in, you already have membership into divisions, but you can add more. So it's important to be looking what people are saying there, because when you prepare for the conference, a lot of the things are available there, and you already go knowing what to do. So my first day, I was really overwhelmed and scared, but I knew I had a doctoral consortium and I needed to go there. And then when I entered that room, and there were a lot of students like me with the same interest, I felt like I belonged, and I felt more, oh, this is not something where there are 10,000 people that I don't know. I got to know people, I got to know their research, I got to have some good experiences. And one thing that Mikey said is that I was really anxious for my paper presentation. And that was not where I got the most. It was in these events that I pre-planned. So it's very important to be looking for that. The other thing is the practicality. So I don't know if you saw, but the Academy has a lot of good deals for hotels. And especially us that come from countries where our currency is not in really favor, the prices the AOM has, they are really, really, really good. But the problem is people book it in January, if I remember. A friend got me a tip and she told me that in the day where the answers come in, a lot of people cancel, so I could get a room. But there are some other rooms there, and one thing that it's important is because that hotels, they are closed. So when you are in a big city, and a lot of these conferences are, when you go to a hotel that it's a little far, you can be stuck in traffic. So last year we were in Seattle, which is not a city that has a big metro structure. So we were in the wrong hotels, we could miss a lot of opportunities. So it's important to book ahead, to look at the map. If you don't get one of the hotels that are for the events, usually in the area there are a lot of hotels. I took a look, there are different things. It's also planning in advance. You can find people to share the room with you, which is something that it's really good. And there are also other things we need to see. So if we're applying for a visa, uh, uh, the AOM offers a declaration, a statement that you can give when applying for a visa. So looking ahead, you can have better flights. You can see how is to get to the airport, to your place, and you reduce the stress because it's overwhelming. The conference is overwhelming and it's really important. And I think that most of us think that the first one is a key point in our career, and it is. So getting there, not stressed about these practicalities and avoiding these problems is really important. So thank you. And now Farzana.
Hello, everyone. I'm Farzana. I attended AOM last year in Seattle as a first-time attendee. And like many of you here today, I also didn't know many of the things when I was preparing for my first AOM. And to be very honest, I was very nervous and anxious. But you guys are lucky because you have got us. We will help you navigate through your first AOM experience. Let's start. AOM organizes professional development workshops and consortiums for their participants. The professional development workshops, or PDWs, are on a specific theme, and the consortiums are targeted towards a specific career stage. For example, there are consortiums for early PhD students, junior faculty, mid-career scholars, so you can easily decide which suits you the most and join that one. But there are two specific challenges here. First one is these sessions need to be pre-booked. Since they are quite popular, they get booked very fast. So once you are a member, you need to keep an eye on your inbox and on the discussion forums to know about the opening of these events and book your seat. The second thing is almost all the consortiums take place simultaneously. For instance, the consortium of career division and the consortium of OB division may take place at the same time. So you need to be very wise in choosing the one that suits your needs, and you need to attend that one. So let's go to the next slide. AOM circulates an event calendar before the event. The calendar is quite detailed. You will get the list of all events with dates, duration, venue, everything. So you can easily choose which sessions you want to attend and make your own schedule. And you can also use this platform to schedule meetings with the people who you would like to know more and meet with physically. So you can schedule meetings. But there is one tip that I'd like to give you here. It is the time zone for this calendar is set as per the local time zone. So this time it will be set as Boston's time zone. So when you are accessing this from your home country, you'll have to calculate the time difference, or you'll have to set the specific time zone in your laptop or computers or phones. Next one, please. So the big day, the day of the event, I can bet that many of you will get frozen for a moment when you enter into the venue for the first time by seeing the vastness of the event. You'll see a lot of people, a huge crowd, but don't get panicked, don't get stressed. Walk towards the registration booth, get yourself registered, take your ID. Do not throw your ID like me on the first day, because you need to show this ID every time you enter into the venue. All the divisions of AOM organize their socials in the forms of breakfast, coffees, dinners, lunch. I would encourage you to attend these sessions as much as possible, because you will get to meet and greet people informally, get to know them more, get to know about their research areas. One tip I would like to give you here that I got from my seniors, and that has helped me quite a lot, that is, do not run behind the big names. Rather, try to network with people from your own level, because you people will grow together, and some people from this group will be the big names, and you will be able to collaborate with each other. So network with people from similar background, similar level, so that you can get the most out of AOM. In the evenings, there are some exhibitions that take place where they exhibit several books, journals, softwares. They give you drinks, refreshments, snacks. So you can use that platform too to mix with other people to get to know them more. So that's all from me. Best of luck. Thank you.
Right, and I'm going to talk about some certain specifics at the event, some things we all realized last year. And for me, one big point was dressing. I don't know how you guys feel, but before going to AOM, I was really concerned with how to dress, what to pack, what to put in my suitcase, because I had luggage maximum weight I could carry. So that was a big deal for me. And what I got from AOM was that the dress code has changed to be rather business casual to casual, as opposed to quite formal. And it basically all boils down to feeling comfortable at this big event. Like Juliana and Fasana said, and Mikey shared, there are tens of thousands of people sometimes. And if a large crowd makes you nervous, it's best to feel comfortable in your own shoes, at least. And I filled in a survey after last year's AOM, where they asked about how we liked the event, how would we proceed in the future. And based on the answers, I was really surprised to see that the dress code seems to have changed and people started dressing more casual. So there really is no need to be too formal if you don't really feel comfortable with that. It's cool and it's nice to dress up, but if that's not you, don't try and overdo it. And one back, please. Right, and pack comfortable shoes. I really can't stress this enough. One day I had to rush back to my hotel and change shoes because I just couldn't take it anymore, and had to wear my trainers instead of like chic shoes, which I hadn't owned for a while. That was a pretty grave mistake that day. And the best advice I got at AOM from a more senior member was to really pack clothes that are easy to mix and match and that are comfortable with wearing all day. And it also helps with packing, because when I pack clothes I can mix and match, it's taking up less space in my luggage, obviously. Next slide, please. And we have certain expectations about our presentations when we go to AOM. And for a first time attendee, it might be the expectation that we really go there and present our paper and receive a lot of feedback. And I'm here to tell you today that this is not going to happen. You're presenting your paper and your research, and that is great, but really don't expect to receive a lot of feedback on details and on your research, because the slots where you present your paper are rather short and the schedule is really, really tight. And the time will really fly by, and you will probably be done even before you realize it. So it's not common that an eager discussion develops afterwards. Depending on the type of session, you might have a discussion chair who will take a moment or two to summarize all contributions. And sometimes questions are directed to the discussion chair afterwards, but that more or less depends. So it really is, from a psychological point of view, easier to take your presentation at AOM as an opportunity to get exposure, to socialize with other scholars, even at your own level, like Fasana said, than to really, really receive feedback on your research. I, for example, last year had the opportunity to go to AOM without presenting anything, which really took a lot of pressure from me and from the whole ordeal. And instead, I was able to focus on joining different sessions, exploring the event, and joining meetings, joining the global committee, for example. And that really helped me. Right. And last tip we can give you is not getting lost in the structure. Like my predecessors shared, AOM has a lot more to offer than paper session and PDWs. And the calendar and the program, it might overwhelm you. Like, it's really this big program with thousands of sessions crammed in 4 days. And you have to go through it and choose whatever interests you, what's relevant to you. And that can be pretty overwhelming. When I was not in a session or chatting to a colleague, I felt pretty out of place for being new, for not being used to the structure, for not knowing where to go. So I went to the new members welcome room and started chatting to the advisors there. And they told me about ways to get involved into AOM. For example, by reviewing in the winter term when submissions start rolling in, or by joining a committee. And I felt it certainly helped with feeling more of belonging to the whole community. I was like doing a part in there. And you can volunteer for pretty much everything to get involved. And like Fasana shared, sometimes it's really not helpful to get crazy with the big names and going to AOM with the goal in mind to meet person XY. Instead, try to build your schedule, go to sessions that interest you, and chat up people you find yourself sitting next to each other.
Thank you so much, Gloria. Actually, that was one of the things that I remember from my first AOM was as a PhD scholar. There was this big name in OB working in groups and teams research that I was really impressed with, citing a lot in my dissertation. And you know, in my first academy meeting, I thought there'll be a great opportunity to actually meet this person and introduce myself. So I followed them around like all 6 sessions in which they were involved. Back then there was this thick program. There was a paper, like a book. So, you know, you could, there was an index with all the scholar names. So, you know, you could, that's how you could locate people. So I did that, and I ran around actually my heels, which was, you know, as you said, not the best idea. The whole program trying to meet this person, but there was not a good opportunity. So I would just sit through these sessions. And then at the end of the session, I just couldn't interrupt, I couldn't really, I don't know, garner the courage to actually introduce myself. So the very last opportunity, I went up and said, my name is Mina. I'm such a big fan of your work. And that was that, that was all that I could do. And probably actually, I suppose everybody likes flattery, and I'm sure that a scholar was rather kind of flattered, but that was all that. I met them some years later, and they did not at all remember me from that, encounter. And also that was probably not the best use of my first conference time. So yeah, I think there's because there's so much to do. I think all of us, our first experience is, trying to make sense. How do I make the most of it? Well, yeah, trying to sort of look for specific names is probably not the best thing. And actually, paper sessions, they could be very interesting, but symposia sessions are maybe more relevant to look out for because they're grouped together around themes that may fit very well with the research you're doing. PDWs, as a bunch of you said, quite useful usually to look out for. And if I'm not mistaken, the PDW kind of website, there's a separate page, I believe, or there used to be at least, that opens before the rest of the program. So that may be out there pretty soon, probably sometime in May. So a recommendation for all of you to actually keep an eye whether these as soon as the PDW are announced, you can start registering and applying for them. Some of them do require an application.
Yes, some of them are already open.
Also, some of them are already open. Do we have is there a web? If you have Juliana, if you have that handy, like a link, you could.
No, and I just got for the forum. I can try to compile that and put on the LinkedIn maybe.
Yeah. Actually, we can. We will get to this, but keeping in touch with each other. But yeah, we'll try to share that information with you as well. But for now, I just wanted to highlight a few specific opportunities. I'll invite Mikey and Becky to also jump in here if relevant. But these are some of the PDWs that our Global OB Committee organizes and that may be relevant to some of you depending on your career stage and your interests and so on. But finding a job in Europe has been popular. Publishing in top international journals, why and how. Tal and I have actually been involved in together with other colleagues in organizing this for some years. This year we're not involved in it, but it's been a very useful forum as well to discuss with journal editors how to get your papers into their journals. Global Research Collaboration, PDW, thinking of a position outside of the US and Europe, do's and don'ts, thinking a little more globally in terms of job applications. And the art of writing and publishing for non-native English scholars. I think that's been very, very popular as well. Here you're paired up with a native scholar, native English speaker, and you get some feedback on your writing. So I think this could be useful to many of you. And if you are interested in joining the global committee of the OB division, please join our meeting that is held on Sundays usually, and this year on Sunday from 1 to 2. More broadly, at the OB division offers some sessions that offers a lot of really cool and fascinating sessions. But these are some that Becky has picked out for us. One on the integration of OB and artificial intelligence, a plenary session. That sounds like it would be very interesting. The Division Awards ceremony and social, that's on Saturday night. I think Becky already added that in the chat box, but really a great place to actually meet people, and socialize, and the Lifetime Achievement Award, which is also morning social. I guess I'm not sure whether there's coffee and stuff like that served there, but probably there is. But really just some of the highlights of the division here, and of course there's other divisions that you may want to consider, may have similar kinds of sessions as well, socials and PDWs, and some spotlight sessions that are on hot topics or topics of high interest to the community. Another opportunity that may be relevant to some of you is the career fair. And we won't say a lot about it because it really kind of depends on where you are in your career and whether you're actually looking for a job. But if you are looking for jobs, this is a good opportunity to consider, where you can actually meet with some recruiters, also international recruiters, universities from all over the world, and have a quick kind of preliminary half-an-hour interview with them, where you get to ask your questions and actually practice a little bit interviewing. And this used to be paid, and I believe now it's actually free to members. So a really nice service, and a good thing to know about in case it is relevant for you. And I think this would be the last slide for me before we open up for questions. But just something that may be important as you plan your participation this year, what kind of sessions to attend, but also probably as you consider submissions for next year. And this was something that Becky pointed our attention to. And thanks for that, Becky, because it is actually something that I wasn't really aware of until a few years into my AOM experience. So the first few years as a new member, I would submit papers, and those are, as you all know, I believe most of our participants today actually have papers accepted into AOM, and that's why you're here. But these are difficult to write. These are 40-page manuscripts, full-blown papers that actually have a high chance of getting rejected. At the OB division, the acceptance rate is only about half. So only about half of papers get accepted, and pretty difficult to write. On the other hand, you have symposia, which are a collection of papers. Usually you have 3, 4, 5 scholars or groups of scholars that organize together and submit this project together for a 90-minute session. Then it could be a panel symposia or presenter symposia, but it's submitted collectively from a group of scholars that are interested in the same topic. And these usually draw more participants at the conference because they're more coherent in a way. And they also have a higher acceptance rate, a better chance to get in. They're also perhaps easier to write because you need to write less as an individual scholar or individual team of scholars. And yeah, I think that's more or less it. I think Becky may want to add something. Becky, go ahead. Yeah. Oh, you're muted. Oh yeah.
Actually, you mentioned it, Mina, there at the end, but symposia, I think it's only like 10 pages altogether that the whole group submits. So I've often used symposia when the idea is maybe not fully fleshed out, you don't have results yet. So sometimes not theoretical papers. So I think when I was a doctoral student, symposia were a great way to meet people. Like we're talking about people you may admire. So if you organized a symposium on groups and teams, you might invite that person. You might just send them an email saying, do you have any papers? I'm organizing a symposium. And if at different points of your career, you're not so interested in organizing the symposium, but you're glad to contribute a paper, maybe have some students you're working with. So it's a great way to connect with other people researching your same area. So maybe they're, so you could just blindly do it, send it out. You could say, let's meet up. You could be thinking about it this year and go to set up some meetings with some people at some of the sessions that you're interested in. Say, could we meet and discuss a symposium, putting together a symposium for next year? It gives you something to focus on in that conversation. You have some of these people with similar interests. So if you have, your dissertation or some other papers you're working on, sure, submitting them as a paper is great. But like you said, that's a lot lengthier. What we found is that just looking at the program, people are less interested in those because you may only be interested in one title. We try to organize them around a topic, but sometimes you'll be like, why am I in this session with these other papers? So we do the best we can, but symposiums are organized by the presenters, by the team. So they're more theme oriented, and you put that they're single blind review, which means that they don't know who the reviewers are, but the reviewers know who the authors are. So they can say, oh, this group of papers, this looks like it'd be interesting, this will attract people to come. And the acceptance rate for symposiums is 70%. So I really encourage you to think about putting together symposiums. A great way to connect with like-minded people, and increase your acceptance rates, and just it's a more fun experience. When we used to organize them way back when I was a doctoral student, we often used the theme of the conference because somehow that gave you added leverage when people were reviewing, like, does this fit the conference theme? I think there were all academy symposia that met the theme. So that might be a way to organize it, or just come up, like our early work on employee deviance. We did one on different definitions of deviance from different perspectives, and invited a person with a sociology background, a person with a theology background. So just be creative with your topic and how to approach it, or just generally, does anybody got papers on teams? We need 4 papers. Okay, enough said.
Thanks so much, Becky. Yeah, indeed, it was at a symposium that I then met this person that I was a big fan of. But yeah, I think we have here prepared one slide with some of the main takeaways. Kyle, do you have something to add to the points that Juliana, Farzana, and Gloria raised, or anything that
I would just a couple points of clarity, just to make sure everybody's clear on a few things, because I've been asked this before as well. Sometimes I've been asked about when you are registering for or trying to attend PDWs or other kinds of events, do you need to be a member of that division to go to events sponsored by other divisions? And those events are open for everybody in the conference. So for instance, I've always found that research methods, PDWs, are very informative, and you don't need to be a member of the research methods division to attend those. And this is the same for anyone for OB. I'm assuming many of you at this call are members of the OB division, given that you're on an OB division sponsored, meeting here. But, you are also welcome to attend other events as well. I mean, that is, what the OB division has lots of advantages. It's the biggest division in the academy. It has a very diverse membership. It has a number of great people doing research, but it's also very big. And there are some advantages of having membership or attending events in other divisions as well. There's a lot of overlap between members in the careers division and the diversity and equity and inclusion division, between that and the OB division, for example. So you may meet some of the same people, but sometimes a little bit more intimate of a setting. So don't hesitate to go out of the division also as you look at other types of things that are interesting to you. You may find some things that really spark your interest there and maybe spark new interest for you. So don't hesitate to go there as well.
All right, yeah. Actually, we don't have. Thanks a lot for answering questions in the chat as we go along. In the Q&A, we don't currently have open questions, but we did have some questions that were posted by folks as they register for this event. So from the registration, maybe some of them have been answered already, but actually one of them had to do with the conference theme. Someone asked if AOM can kind of announce the theme a little bit ahead of time. I mean, so earlier than it currently does. I believe now the theme is announced simply a year ahead of time. Because people would like to prepare papers that fit the theme. My response to that is that because, you know, we're such a big community of people, most of the papers that you would, and presentations and symposia that you would see presented at the Academy don't necessarily fit with theme in any, you know, explicit way. But of course, as Becky mentioned, it may be helpful to kind of tinker a bit with the description so as to make it a little more fitting. But I wonder if any of the other panelists have a perspective on the conference theme and how relevant that is for submissions and for presentations. Yeah. All right. So probably not to worry too much about the theme would be my take here. It is a way to kind of for the organizers to create a shared, you know, sense of identity, I think, around these events, but not something that should make anyone feel excluded. I don't think if your research doesn't directly fit into the theme. Some other questions that we had was if people can participate online this year, and unfortunately not this year. The event will only take place in person, and we'll see how this evolves in the future. But this year, no, it's not possible to participate online. I think this, in case that's not clear on the webpage, because we did have that question raised. I just want to make sure we address it. Another question that we had, and I'd love for you all to kind of pitch in here, but any tips for presenting? And here, I don't know about tips, except for maybe, you know, make sure you time your presentation pretty well and that you stick to the limit, because you will be interrupted most likely if you go over the 10 minutes or however much you're given in your particular session. But I think this, you know, preparation is key, and making sure that you kind of deliver the key message in, you know, 10 minutes and are able to do that, and not to perhaps, as I believe Juliana mentioned, not to, or maybe Gloria mentioned, not to expect too much in terms of feedback. That may happen, but it may also not happen. So I think it's just an opportunity to actually share your research. And I don't know if anyone else has a thought on preparing for
I have, I guess, just a couple of thoughts as someone who's been to a number of meetings as well. I would say two things. First, finish on time. There's nothing more annoying as an audience member as somebody getting not very far in their presentation and being told they have 2 minutes left and they're nowhere near finished, and you can tell they haven't planned. That's one of the, it's annoying as an audience member, and it really puts you in an awkward position as a presenter. The second thing is, I think people are interested in what you did and what you found. You don't need to spend a lot of time reviewing your theory in your presentation unless you're doing something that's very abstract and that people aren't going to be familiar with. You know, we all are familiar with many of the same things, you know, coming from all the programs around the world, you know, and I'm really interested to see what you did and what you found. You know, not necessarily all of the ancillary stuff in the development of your hypothesis. Spend some time, but get to the results. And I think and the audience will really thank you if you do that.
Right. Yeah, I think that's quite important, and that in a way is also because we also get a question about preparing for a symposium, and I think a lot of the same points would go here as well. For a symposium, maybe that that you actually don't have the results fleshed out to the same extent as you would in a paper, but I think it would also be important to stick to your time and kind of prepare in advance to do that, and to be brief and to the point. I think for symposia also the thing is, of course, that you would usually coordinate with the other authors ahead of time. So if you've only exchanged emails so far and you don't really know the other people that are in your symposium, you may suggest to the symposium organizer to actually set up a call or something ahead of the conference to coordinate a little bit. You may also, if your schedules permit, try to find a time to meet in person in Boston before your actual symposium is scheduled. That might also be possible. If I'm not mistaken, symposium papers will take place on Mondays and Tuesday, on Monday and Tuesday, as they used to in the past. Last year, there was a little bit of a new model that the Academy tried, where sessions were mixed during the different days. But I think most symposia and paper sessions now take place on Monday and Tuesday. So that may give you some days before your presentation to actually get together with the other symposia presenters and plan a bit and coordinate.
Nina,
Yeah.
I think one thing about paper presentations that is important is getting your message there, and what you're talking about and what you're focused on. Because I had some people who attended my session started to be my collaborators just because they liked the topic and they liked the message there. So sometimes, as Kyle said, we keep a lot of time explaining things that are theoretical and that we don't need to explain. People can read it later. So to be very explicit, what's the topic, what's the contribution, and how it can relate to other things.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Julian. That's absolutely on point. Yeah, we had a few more in the registration form, but perhaps we could turn to some of the questions that were raised here in the Q&A. One question from Ren, and I'm not sure we have the answer for you, Ren, but we will get back to you. We can get back to you if we don't have it right now. But the question is, is there a specific team to reach out to regarding disability accommodations? I'm pretty sure there is. There must be such a person, or if not a team, but I'm not exactly sure I can locate that immediately for you. I don't know if anyone else here has an idea about that, but otherwise, Ren, if you have registered and left, I'm noting your name down. So if you've registered and shared an email, we can get back to you with that information.
Minna, can you repeat the question? I did not.
If there is a specific team to reach out to regarding disability accommodations. I guess that many of the facilities are already should be set up so that they accommodate with disabilities, but I'm not 100% sure about that, and I think it is a good idea to reach out in advance and double check whether your particular room where you're going to present, for instance, does that have the facilities. So we can I can look into that for you.
No worries, we can definitely circle back. It was just, I figured I'd ask while we were here.
Yeah, but I think
thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Ren. And then we have a question from Gentrit. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that well, but I'm going to use AOM meeting to pursue host for the Fulbright scholarship. Any tips on how to communicate with researchers? Yeah, please, anyone here as well. My first kind of intuitive take here would be to get get in touch with people ahead of time to actually schedule meetings. So if you have a sense of who you may want to collaborate with, absolutely, the Academy may be a very good place to meet up with them and have a discussion about that. But I would say you should start that discussion over email and maybe even a virtual call before the Academy, instead of waiting to first connect to people at the Academy. So that is what I can say about this one. I don't know if we have any other tips for that.
There is occasionally some sessions at the Academy that are geared around Fulbrights. They're not as common as certainly some other topics, but they do occur. The Fulbright website also is pretty resourceful in terms of past Fulbright participants. That might be someone that you could coordinate with or reach out to, but that's on the Fulbright side, not on the Academy side.
Yeah. So we have a question: what are the accommodation charges? I mean, I think that they are usually, depending on whether you're a student or a faculty member, they would vary. So students get a discount. And this is only for the AOM hotels, which I think even if you manage to get a discount for the AOM hotels, I think they tend to be quite expensive. So Becky suggested looking out for Airbnbs and VRBOs in the area, and I think that that's probably a good idea. So I think you would Diwakar, I think you would probably need to compare and contrast a little bit the prices of the different accommodation options. In terms of sharing, I don't think that there is a official kind of platform that matches people to share. You would have to find your own kind of roommate for the conference, I think. But if you don't know anyone who's attending and wants to share a room with you, but you're interested in sharing, I think our little LinkedIn group, which I will put up a slide for now, you may be able to find people through that. Actually, let me just do this here.
Mina, one thing about the hotels in the AOM, they have different prices. Some of them are really reasonable, and they are always for two people. So I register, I can share with someone. So it will be good to ask if someone is available for sharing. And I think that depending on the hotel you get, the price for sharing may be really good.
Yeah, and here actually before we also forget, we would like to invite you to connect on LinkedIn in this group we've created for not just first-time attendees, but anyone who feels they can benefit from a community around how to navigate the Academy. So please, you're welcome to join the group and stay in touch there with us and with each other, and perhaps you can find a roommate or kind of if not roommates, at least people to meet up for a coffee with and share some of the experiences in situ, or talk to about preparing for the conference. So please join this group on LinkedIn where we can stay in touch. And I think Kyle answered just right now. I can see one of the last questions that we had here, but I wanted to add here, and we had that on one of the slides, that usually the program on the web is a little more reliable. I mean, the app program, we've had different, I think, success with or at least I haven't been. I wasn't able to use it very well. Like, you would have bugs and so on, at least last year. Maybe this year the app would be better, but I would say if you can set up your program online on your computer and kind of maybe save a PDF of that and send it to your phone or something, I think that may be easier to navigate than relying on the app. So yeah. Any final thoughts by any of our panelists? If not, I would like to thank all of you, Becky, Mikey, Kyle, Juliana, and Gloria. Thank you so much for today's session. Vlad, thanks so much for hosting us. And above all, thank you all to the participants for participating, to them for actually, submitting to the Academy and submitting your work to the Academy and showing up in Boston to share it with the rest of us. Thank you so much, and see you soon.
Thank you.